You're listening to the World of Business and Taxes with Mike Lodge, keeping you informed. So let's get started.
And welcome to the World of Business and Taxes. This is Mike Lodge. We call this the WBT. So we're back on our schedule again, and we are back on the subject of starting a business. So this is podcast Starting a Business number 2. So when you start a business, you've already gone and you determined, am I really an entrepreneur? And am I really willing to take the risk of starting a new venture? Because it's going to take a lot of your time. And it's going to take your full focus. So today we need to answer some questions that every person needs to think about. And it's not just at the beginning, but it's also during the course of owning the business. So you're listening to questions that when you are planning for year after year after year of operations, you always have to have these questions in the back of your mind. So this podcast today is brought to you by Lodge & Company, a business and tax advisory firm to small business and startups. If you are forming a new business, need monthly accounting services, or need to file business tax returns, Lodge & Company is a firm that can help you through every step. Visit our website at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about us and what we can do for you. So over the next few days, you and I are going to talk about starting a business. What is the process we need to go through and questions we need to ask, and the planning that needs to be done. We will go through the step-by-step process as we go through this lesson plan. Oh gosh, I feel like a teacher. Well, I am a teacher at the moment, so I got my rulers, guys. So we have to ask these questions. So you've got what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So if you've already thought that process through, now ask yourself these questions to make sure you're thinking about the key business decisions. Number 1, why am I starting a business? From the very beginning of an idea for a business, you need to know what you are why you are doing it, and you will build this based upon your commitment, because you've already decided, I know why I'm starting this business. Number 2 is, what kind of business do I want? Don't just jump around from idea. Choose an idea, stick to that idea. Make sure you know what kind of products or service you want to provide. No, this is not this and that and some more of that. Or, you don't jump around. Make a decision and decide what you want to do. One single driven idea of what kind of business you are going to build will help you be dedicated and committed to what you're now going to venture out on. Number 3 is, who is my ideal customer? Who are you going to tell your story to? What type of client, customer do you want for your specific product or service? Number 4 is, what products or services will my business provide? So the question is, so what are you going to provide? Outline it, detail it, and how you're going to get there. Number 5, am I prepared to spend the time and money needed to get my business started? Now, a lot of you are going to be doing this part-time probably while you're carrying on jobs. And so it's going to take some time. It takes a committed amount of hours every single day and weekends to get this thing to happen. Are you willing to commit to that? That is the biggest thing that is going to drive you to make this business possible, is, are you willing to commit? And you also have to realize that everything that around you is going to be affected by this decision. Am I prepared to spend the time and money needed to get my business started? Number 6 is what differentiates, that's a tough word, differentiates my business idea and the products or services I will provide from others in the market. Now, what your competition is doing. How are you different from them? Number 7, where will my business be located? Okay, are you going to be operating this from your home? Do you have everything set up so that you can reach out to your clients? Or are you going to open up an office or a storefront? Is there enough storefront foot traffic that's passing it that people will be able to see that you are actually doing a business? Have you thought about, is your storefront going to be a website? Think about those things. Where will my business be located? Number 8 is how many employees will I need? The most expensive part of any business is payroll. Because not only do you have the actual payroll, but you've got the taxes, you've got the workers' compensation, you've got the disability, you've got federal, you've got state, you've got all of these things that you need to think of. So that's the most expensive thing. But the other issue is that no matter who you bring in, whoever you hire, even if it's a family member, you have to ask yourself the question, does this person bring me value? What does he or she add to your company that will make it a success? And you have to ask that question on every single person that you hire. Just don't hire a person because he's your friend or he's your uncle down the street. It's based upon, does that person bring value to your company? Does he bring the expertise or the knowledge or the systems, or what value does he bring in? Ask that question on every single hire that you do. Number 9, what types of supplies do I need? If you're going to make something or provide a service, you will need supplies. Suppliers are of products, internet services, accounting services, materials, and the list goes on of different types of suppliers. What type of suppliers do I need? Make a list. Number 10, how much money do I need to get started? This is the big question. But if you answer all of your expense items, you'll know how much money you will need. How much am I going to need for rent? How much for utilities, electricity, marketing? And there's a whole list of expenses, operating expenses that you need to take into consideration. Forecast it out of how, by month, how much you think you will be spending so that you know how much money you need to bring in to sustain that business and to make a profit. Remember, it's revenue minus expenses equals net income. And hopefully you have money left over that you've made a profit. The other issue is you need to think about, okay, I already know that my revenue minus my expenses equals profit. If I'm running at a negative year after year, the IRS is going to take a look at you and say, is this guy operating a hobby or is he operating an actual business? What is he doing to make that business profitable? What is he doing to make that business run like a real business? So, how much money do I need to get started? Think about all of your expenses and what you need to cover on a month-to-month basis. Then number 11 is, will I need to get a loan? Gosh, I hate to tell any company to go out and get a loan and take a mortgage out on their house. Now you have debt. I am a hater of debt. I'm a debt hater. If you can do this through crowdfunding or through aunts and uncles that are willing to invest into your company or other types of investors, I would suggest that. Because investors you can buy out at some point in time. A loan seems to last on, and it remains on your books, and it's an eyesore. I'm sorry, but I hate debt. Number 12, how soon will it take before my products or services are available? So you want to make a widget. How long is it going to take before my first widget is ready to sell? All my suppliers, remember the suppliers? The suppliers are the ones making your widget. Or if you're doing it yourself, how long is it going to take to build your widget? Number 13, how long do I have until I start making a profit? You need to know at what point you will break even and start making a profit. And if you think it's going to be years, then you need to rethink your business. If it's going to be 6 months, 8 months, 9 months before you start making a profit, detail why you think you're going to get there. So every month you should do, when you start putting your company together, you need to do a forecast. January, February, March, all the way through December, what you expect your revenues are going to be, what your expenses are going to be, and what your net income is going to be. So if your net income is negative, and then finally, maybe month 6, you start breaking even, and then so on, you should start making a profit. You need to know at what point in time you will start making that profit. I tell you, a lot of people just think, okay, I'm going to open up a business, I'm going to put my clothes in the front window, and I'm going to start making a profit immediately. It doesn't happen that way, because there are so many upfront costs that you need to consider. And you need to be able to forecast out over the months and see exactly when you start making that first dollar. And you can put it in your bank account and say, this is my first dollar I made, and that was my profit. Then other questions that you need to be looking at the same time is, who is my competition? How will I price my product compared to my competition? How will I set up the legal structure of my business? And we'll get into that later in more detail. What taxes do I need to pay? What kind of insurance do I need? Because you'll have to look at general liability insurance for the building. You may have to look at some property insurance. And you may even have to look at errors and omissions insurance depending on what service that you are providing. So you need to ask that question, what kind of insurance will I need to run this business? How will I manage my business? Number 7 is, and how will I advertise my business? All of these are part of looking at your financial expenses at the beginning of your business and start looking at it yearly. And once you know how to read your financial statements and meet with your accounting team, you can look at these expenses and make adjustments where needed. So, get your legal pad and start answering each one of these questions that we've just talked about. Sit down with your accountant and tax advisor and go over what is needed to create a financial forecast, your budget and reporting process to know where you stand month to month. Excuse me. And then I encourage you, from the bottom of my heart, know your financial statements. Know what questions to ask. I love it because when we work with clients, we do what is called a pull across. And the pull across report takes every month and lists it side by side. And we do that because I believe that every manager of a business or owner of a business needs to do what is called a scrub. And that means going down line by line and saying, well, how come this rose so much compared to last month? What happened to create that? How come our revenue went down this month? Who's responsible for that? You can ask those questions with your team around you because you know how to read your financial statement. So you should know, why is my income revenues jumping from month to month? Why is it that my electricity bill went up by $1,000? And you can ask those questions because a lot of times when you are putting together the numbers, sometimes things get put in the wrong buckets. So this gives you the opportunity to know how to ask those questions, get the answers that you need to run your business. Know your financial statements. So we've gone over the questions that you need to ask. If you want to see this, it's on my blog site, which is at www.mike wbtpod